Welcome back everyone to Gotcha Interact. Today we're going to be talking about something that just dropped pretty recently, which is looking at Honkai Star Rail dropping the idea of their Fate collab, actually finding out specifically and officially from them the two characters that we're going to be getting here. So as it states here, it says Sweet Dreams and the Holy Grail Honkai Star Rail X Fate Stay Night collaboration information preview. So this is going to be starting on July 11th, and they'll have a warp banner for the two different characters that we're going to be getting. Obviously, as you guys can see here, we have Saber as our first character. These are just the concept arts of what most likely their splash arts are going to be. And obviously, we have the first character being Saber, and she's going to be a wind destruction unit. After that, we have Archer as well, being a quantum hunt character. Now, there is some things that we kind of want to break down in the video. Obviously, these are what these characters are going to be. We'll kind of talk exactly about some maybe extra things later on and what these characters are actually going to do. Maybe, you know, how their strengths, maybe some of, you know, how this is going to mess with other characters, how other characters might mess with them. But looking a little bit further into what actually they gave us, it also stated that basically during this time period, you can both wish for both Archer and Saber. So even though we get a free Archer, you can go for extra cons as well, which is something that we are also going to talk about in a second. Later on, also, we are getting a free Archer. So very similar to Ratio. Ratio kind of had his own banner, but at the same time, we got him for free. So it's going to be the same thing with Archer. We're going to have him for free, but we do have the banner to actually pull either for more Eidolons or for his weapon. Now, also, we have a special Fate Stay Night event that is dropping as well, and you guys can look a little bit more into that. Obviously, this is on the official Twitter if you guys want to go check it out, and all the information is basically there. But besides just finding out the base information that they kind of gave us, there's just some special things I think we kind of want to talk about. The first point I want to bring up is the other collaboration that Hoyo has done in the past as well. Now, not old Hoyo Honkai Impact, specifically talking about Genshin with Aloy. So Rift, tell me what you're thinking. How does maybe that previous collaboration possibly help or hurt this one in the future?
Well, all of us know that Aloy is pretty garbage. She's not adding a lot to the table as far as, power goes. And honestly, still to this day, that collaboration didn't really make that much sense to me. And also to get constellations for your Aloy, you had to get multiple, like, PlayStation 5s or whatever,
Yeah.
which is kind of crazy. Hopefully that's not the case, or something similar with this, where if you do want to get Eidolons or something, you have to purchase something in real life that, that's just crazy, because that's thousands of dollars. And yes, it's already thousands of dollars to realistically E6 or C6 characters in a gacha game. So yes, I know that, but still, there's a lot of things to think about with going and using Aloy as the kind of example for what a collab looked like with Hoyoverse in general, because this is the second time we're going to get something like that, Aloy being the first. So this one's a lot more exciting, I can say. I think a lot more people were definitely excited about this. I remember Braxophone's reaction to the original Fate Stay Night collaboration announcement, and he was over the moon for it. So, and a lot of us were. So this looks really cool. That's my initial thought is, I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty optimistic that this is going to be pretty good. So I guess, looking to the next question, though, what you wanted to talk about is looking more specifically at these characters and what they could be. We don't have kits right now, which, like you said, Vixen, we'll probably talk about that in future videos. But we do know that Saber is a wind destruction character. And if we look at what we already have in the game, that would be, Blade. And we also know that Blade is getting some buffs. So with that, does that mean, is Saber going to be a little bit less relevant because Blade is getting a buff? Or is it the other way around where they're deciding to buff Blade because, well, hey, we're going to have a new Destruction Wind character anyways. It's already just going to be better. Hey, let's give Blade some love, give him, some buffs, make him available on the limited banner. You can lose to him on the 50-50 now. And the same thing is with Zila. She's not getting a buff, at least right now, but she is available to, you can lose to her on your 50-50 on the limited banner specifically, and Archer's Quantum Hunt character. So very similarly with Blade and Zila being available now to just lose your 50-50, we are getting new characters to kind of, quote, replace that. And so my thought there is they could be more powerful than that, since Blade and Zila are being put on that 50-50 loss counter. Or the fear could be, are they going to be about the same power level or even possibly worse because it's a collaboration character or something like that? But Vixen, what are your thoughts specifically on this matter?
Well, yeah, I think when I brought this to you, I was extremely happy because I do like really like Fate. But I think the thing, like you're saying, to keep in mind is that, that initial fear. My thought was, okay, we already have Blade. He's getting a buff. What does that mean for
Hmm.
Saber? And then obviously, what does that mean for, a collaboration in the past like Genshin, which is why I initially brought up Aloy to you, because, what does that mean for a future collaborations with Hoyo in general? Now, thankfully,
Hmm.
Star Rail has probably hopefully has learned from Genshin's
Yeah.
mistake, and
Yeah.
hopefully will, once again, these characters don't have to be meta breaking. People are going to pull the characters because they like the characters. And I think something to keep in mind is that they're probably going to have okay kits. They're not probably going to be meta breaking because it kind of loses a lot of limelight and story wise. It loses a lot of reason, at least for a lot of people, probably for the actual game who really don't care about Fate at the end of the day. And even if they do, they care so much about the Star Rail story, they don't want to lose sight of that, basically. But I think that overall, with Saber, I'm interested to see because she is the limited one that you can't get for free, probably going to be stronger than what we're going to see in Archer just because of that. That being said, I'm just interested to see what they're gonna do. Saber, if you kind of, or I'm hoping that how the game kind of plays is very similar to how the characters are in either the anime as well as the games that they've been in. I hope that they're very similar because it would make a little bit more sense for them to be, on that
Hmm.
idea, which looking at the paths does make sense. But really, at the end of the day, I'm interested to see what actually is going to happen with the different characters and what they actually do. Hopefully, once again, Star Rail learns from their mistakes. The next thing I do want to say, though, is, what do we think about, these characters in general pairing with other characters? So we obviously have a Wind Destruction with Saber. Um, you know, Blade mainly focuses on HP, so let's say Saber focuses more on attack. The, what the real question then is, what do we do with her? What could she really do in terms of endgame? Is she going to be a solid, useful character? Same thing with Archer. He's for free, but then again, I know Ratio is really strong.
Hmm.
So we've seen that
You
free
know.
character. So is Archer going to be a good, useful character? Does a collaboration make
Yeah.
him worthless?
Right. No, I think it's good points to bring up. With Archer being free, which is awesome, by the way. Can't wait to get that. Um, that does bring up a little bit of concern, like you said. Ratio was free, and even though he was free around the time he released, and for quite a while, even to this day, some people would say he's still pretty useful.
Yeah, I would
And I
agree.
think it's because he's got that gimmick of a follow-up attack, even
Right.
though he himself doesn't do crazy numbers like. It's not like ground shaking, but you can use him in a way with certain characters and certain teams when you have certain gimmicks in endgame that like to buff follow-up attacks. He has places where he can shine, especially if you don't have Fei Xiao. He's a pretty okay substitute. Instead of that, use him with Topaz or something like that. There are uses, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's just the thing with Star Rail is because it's turn-based and because it's more gimmicky and it pushes you to kind of follow a certain just gimmick for endgame, whether it's break, whether it's follow up, whether it's ultimate damage and you want to use your Acheron or something like that. And now the whole thing with Amphorius is having memo sprites, having these summons. Sunday as a character before Amphorius even released was like, hey, I'm going to buff summons. And that was kind of that, foretelling of, what the Amphorius meta might even look like, which is the memo sprites and summon kind of a thing. And, we even saw an old character like Jingwan get a buff because of it. So you can just see that Star Rail is a very gimmicky game. And if Archer has some kind of gimmick, whatever that may be, because all we can do right now is kind of speculate. But whatever that may be, if he is gimmicky and has that kind of niche, if you will, there will still be placements in meta where you can use him if you don't have a more powerful option, similar to Ratio. Now, I don't think it would be follow-up just because that'd be too similar to Ratio. If it is, oh well, hey and okay, and maybe you can use them with Ratio. Instead of like the Fei Xiao Topaz, you just use Ratio Archer, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
a cope version of that, right? But what if they were like break characters? That'd be just interesting, like a Quantum Hunt break character that's kind of like Boot Hill but Hunt, and then, or I'm sorry, but Quantum, because they're both Hunt, and then we have like a Wind break character. That'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think it would be definitely different, that's for sure. From what we've seen so far, I'm gonna guess that Saber's just a straight up just all out damage character, probably something
Yeah.
similar you see to like Firefly and other destruction units. With how Archer is, it's just going to be, I think, quantity of attacks, which once again follows the paths kind of perfectly to an extent. But something,
Mm,
I also did want to keep in mind to everyone. These are going to be, this collaboration will be available over a long period of time. I believe they said it's going to last until 3.6. Yeah, right here it says it's going to last until 3.6. So the banners are going to be out for a little while. Now this, I believe, is going to be 3.4. So it's going to be out for 3 whole versions, which once again is just another reason to allow people, instead of maybe because they don't know if they're going to have Fate come back later on, therefore they don't know if they can do the collaboration again, much how Aloy, like you're saying, even if she came back, she'd have to have a banner come back. She didn't, you know what I mean, like there would have to be a
yeah.
necessity to kind of have that happen.
And it's
um
weird because in Genshin, she's like got a red background. She doesn't even have that gold backdrop.
exactly,
So
right.
it's like, what is she, a 6 star? Like, what?
Yeah, exactly. It's just different and weird. And so it
Yeah.
looks like here they're actually correctly kind of making the characters in a warp banner in a way that you have 3 whole versions to actually pull for them and actually get
Mm,
multiple versions of them as well. And I'm going to guess it's because
yeah.
they're probably not extremely strong. But, once again, that is just another thing to just keep in mind as you are looking at it, I
Hmm.
guess, more.
Yeah, it looks like 3.4 starts July 1st, and so July 11th is kind of right in the middle of that, of 3.4 version 1. So, with that, you have all of 3.4 second half, all of 3.5, and all of 3.6. That's like at, what is that? 3, 6, 9, 12, like 13-ish, 13 and a half, 14 weeks where they'll be available. That's a long time
Right.
to the regular 3 weeks.
Now, something I do want to, it's a little bit in the, almost smaller area, if you will, the not as easily seen, if you will. It states here that the cumulative warp count for this collaboration warp is calculated independently of other warp types. So if you are already pulling for, other things and you have a 50-50 loss and you want to use that on Saber or Archer, it's not going to work, it looks like. Now, there is going to be more information in the future where they'll have official announcements with more details and specific warp event rules and how, maybe
Mm,
the pity system's going to work. Maybe because it's going over 3 versions, maybe their Eidolons maybe are easier to get, and because maybe they're not extremely strong. That's what I'm gonna cope for. Um, but that's maybe at least my thought process, is that they are making the actual rules for it a little bit, because they're making the rules different here as they already state. The real question then becomes, maybe those Eidolons aren't going to be as strong, therefore maybe allowing more possibility to get them maybe quicker. Maybe the pity count is lower. Maybe there's always a guarantee, like you're always going to get the character. Maybe there's no 50-50 loss.
hmm
Maybe something like that, and maybe their
Can you
personal
imagine
weapons are going to
like,
have a separate thing as well.
yeah, can you imagine like losing and getting Blade instead of Saber? It's like, hey, the wrong wind destruction.
Yeah,
So
that'd
that's
be,
kind of interesting.
yeah. So they've
Could be
got
depressing.
special rules. They've got special things going on. Hopefully,
uh,
my hope is that there's no 50-50 loss and you just always get the character. And then maybe the
hmm
pity's dropped a little bit, and maybe the Eidolons aren't extremely strong. Now, at the same time, that could be extreme cope. At the same time, they may have their own special, maybe like instead of the special, like, things that you're using. So instead of stellar, maybe you're still using stellar jade to do pulls, but maybe the other
hmm
pulls are, maybe they give you a different type of pull that you can also use maybe in the
Yeah.
event and giving you
I
different
was like, where are we
warps.
going with this? Is like a Bangbu banner where it's like you can't. It's just a totally separate thing. You
Yeah,
can't even.
exactly. Yeah, if you guys know Zenless at all, maybe, so there's just a lot of things that are going on. We still have practically over a month until the banner's actually even here. So the more,
Right.
Star Rail stuff that they come out with, the more that we'll kind of keep our eyes on it. But that's practically everything we have for the 2 characters, and basically really what they've given us and really what we kind of want to bring up. So if you guys did like the video, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Let us know what you guys are thinking about this collaboration, maybe what your thoughts are. Are they going to be similar? Should we be scared and thinking about Aloy again, or should we maybe be a little bit more optimistic because it's Star Rail? Should we think that they're, maybe learned from the past mistakes? Let us know what you guys think down below. Thank you guys once again for watching the video, though, and we'll see you guys in the next one.